find some.
No, don't edit it. Let that shit play. Oh.
What's up, guys?
For life,
Hey,
bro.
That Turkish hair transplant really did you well.
What is an NFL quarterback room like?
So 2 years ago, I trained Sam Darnold and Josh Allen and Kyle Allen. That was my draft class.
I think that this league is filled with opportunities, and the guys that stay in the league for a long time are the guys that take advantage of those opportunities.
I'm just a big believer in repetition.
And I'm a big routine guy, and goals never end.
I'm just a big
And I'm a big routine guy, and once I stepped on that field today, I was good, man.
Welcome back from Christmas break, holiday season, everyone. This is episode 21 of The Room. We got Jordan back on from his holiday break. How we doing, Jordan? How was the holidays?
Dude, it was chaos. Like little kids, December, plus my 7-year-old's got his birthday in the mix. Like December was a blur. It's the best though. I love Christmas and football games get more meaningful. The college games are more meaningful. Mm-hmm. The NFL games are more meaningful. So I think all of that and excitement and like we have something every day. It was a blur. But how about you? How was Christmas for you mid-season or in the middle of the season?
Yeah, middle of the season is always weird. We had family in town for the first time, which was nice though. So got to see family. But to be honest, glad holiday season's over. We're back in this. Today we got an awesome guest for you guys. One of our closest friends. I know we say that about a lot of guys, but we're just in the quarterback community. We're homies with a lot of these guys. We got our boy from the Las Vegas Raiders who made his first start in his 4-year career. He hadn't started a game yet, and he balled the fuck out. Jarrett
balled out
of the Las Vegas Raiders. What an awesome example of taking advantage of an opportunity when it's given to you against one of the toughest defenses I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. A great dude, an awesome story. I think you guys are going to see a really cool side of him that you don't really see. He's kind of vague on his Instagram. There's not many interviews with him out there, but he really is an awesome dude. And you've known him for longer than I have, and I think he's one of our closer friends.
Yeah, and I think Raider Nation is, the thing about Raider Nation that's different is they can be upset that they're not in the playoffs and all that stuff, but they don't stop caring about the Raiders. They don't wipe that Raider tattoo off their chest. They don't stop wearing Raider gear. So I think there's actually going to be a lot of Raiders fans who are like Googling Jarrett Stidham, like, damn, who is this guy? Because they were probably going, okay, Carr got benched. All right, who are we drafting next year? Are we going to get Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? Or, you know what I mean? That's for Raider fans. They don't stop loving Raiders. One of my favorite fan bases. But hold up. This dude just had 390 yards, 99 yards of total offense, 67% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns. His 2 picks, one of them's batted at the line of scrimmage, not his fault. Second one, guy getting walked back into him. If he doesn't, that might be the game winner in overtime. Might be 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So unbelievable start. So I just think there's a lot of Raider fans going like, okay, if Carr, they've moved on from Carr, who's the guy moving? Well, wait a second. Who's this guy? And he did it versus San Francisco last week. He's got the Kansas City Chiefs this week, another home game. And so just a dope time to talk some ball with our boy Jer Bear.
Awesome story. Before we get into it, subscribe to The Room as always. Our subscribers keep going up, man. You guys seem to like it. We're almost at 7.
Like 500 new ones in the last week, right?
Unbelievable, man. This is awesome. We're going to keep putting this out. Like we said, we're getting the best guests every week. We're getting Jarrett Stidham fresh off of his first start. And then we're going to get some awesome quarterbacks going into the playoffs. We got some great ideas coming up, some awesome stuff. So subscribe, like the channel, like us on Instagram, follow us there. Before we get into the episode today with Jarrett, we're recording this on Tuesday night. Last night was the Bills versus Bengals game where the horrific, really, there's no other way to describe it, horrific thing that happened to Damar Hamlin last night. I remember, me and you were on the phone for 20 minutes during the game last night, and you called me, and I'd literally just been sitting on my couch crying, like watching it. And I'm texting tons of buddies around the league. Me and Sam Darnold were texting, said he was emotional. We were both texting Josh during the game how emotional he was, but we just want to take a second and honor him and pray for him and really an unprecedented thing that's never really happened in this league. And as of right now, what we know is he went in cardiac arrest. They resuscitated him on the field. He was in critical condition at the hospital, couldn't breathe on his own, but his vitals were okay. So that's how we have of right now. That's all we know right now.
Yeah, and this is not the channel to come to get breaking news and updates. That's not what we're doing here. And so a lot of people there's so little information. There's just a lot of speculation and opinion and people saying whatever they're able to say. What we wanted to do is create some space, and we did a little research to find out a little bit more about Damar Hamlin. And turns out he's not a really good football player where there's nothing else to it. It's like, well, hold on. This is an amazing dude. Grew up in a tough situation in Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, and he's got a little brother that's 7 years old. And so when he was coming out of high school, he was a big time recruit. So I saw the video of him picking the Pittsburgh, I don't know, Pitt Panthers, like the Pitt hat over like Ohio State and like Michigan. You know what I mean? Like he was a big time recruit, puts the Pitt hat on in an interview. His little brother was 2 at the time. And he said, I want to be closer to home. I want to be a role model for my little brother. So he chose to stay in Pittsburgh over, I'd argue, bigger schools like Ohio State, because he wanted to be a role model for his 2-year-old brother. If you go on his Instagram, you see his little brother all over it. So really family guy. And then his parents talked about how his parents were role models for him and the role that played in shaping his career. So now, he wanted to be that for his little brother. So to choose, he wanted to bring I had a bunch of quotes about talking about what he wanted to do for the city of Pittsburgh. So this is a guy who, when I hear that, I just like, loyalty is the first thing to come to mind. This is a super loyal dude choosing something that's bigger than himself over himself. That plays well. And probably why you see the reaction that you did out of Bills and Bengals, and especially out of the Bills, because again, it's not, a guy on the team. It's a young man who cares, who's bought in. That Buffalo Bills team, people don't realize, is a lot closer, I think, than most other teams, and maybe a lot closer than all the other teams. There's no way to rank it. And you hear about the schedule, what the Bills do every week. I mean, it's like somebody's daughter turned 6, like there's like 40 players there. Like when I played, it wasn't like that. And something about that Buffalo Bills team. And so we saw that. And so great player, was drafted out of Pitt, made an instant impact, filled in for, I think Poyer was the one who got hurt this year, got a lot of playing time. So young guys stepping up, playing a big role. And when you hear people talk about him, you hear about the community giving back, loyalty, respect. And so we just wanted to put some of that out there. No one knows what's happening and what's going to happen, but I don't care how many interceptions he has, how many tackles he has, but like the stuff that it was fun to find is, man, this is like a rock star young man, and an unbelievable role model for other kids.
Unbelievable role model. And what's going around right now is his toy drive on GoFundMe. I think before the game, or I can't remember what it was I saw, but it was at $2,500 when he was coming out of college, or maybe after his first year. And his goal was to get something like 10, 20 grand. It's at $4 million right now. So if you guys are looking for something to do, something to support, keep supporting his GoFundMe, keep praying for him. This is something unprecedented in the sport. And I think it affects everyone in the entire sport. And it affects a lot of people in the world right now. People come to watch that football game. That was probably the most important football game of the season. And for those two teams to shut it down and respect what was going on for the players and everyone around them. And I just can't stop thinking about how you and me felt last night and how everyone I talked to felt and how horrible the situation is. And we're praying for Damar. So just wanted to say that before we get into the episode.
Yep. Well said, man. So let's talk to our buddy Jarrett here again, and we'll go through a bunch of stuff, but there's more to this story than people realize. Most people don't know the story. 4th round pick from Auburn. They weren't a national title team. So it's just kind of if you're a fan, you can probably slip through the cracks a little bit. And then you see that success and you're like, what happened there? Well, he's throwing to Devontae Adams. It ain't that easy. And, I watched every snap. You watched the whole game. So get a chance to see this thing unfold. And I think most fans, especially if you're a high pick, if you're not good by the 2nd or 3rd year, you're probably not going to be good. It's probably like the pace at which fans' expectations are. Mm-hmm. And the reality is Drew Brees had his best year. Like finally it clicked for him in year 8, right? Alex Smith, right? Your boy, like his best year finally, like it clicked and he balled out year 12 in Kansas City, right? As like 9th coordinator. And so I remember when I was playing in Chicago, one of the switches that flipped for me from a confidence perspective was when Mark Trestman, who was the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, when they went to the Super Bowl and Rich Gannon was the NFL MVP. And he told me, and I was like 27 at the time, and he goes, hey, Jordan, Rich Gannon never started a game until he was 30. He was an MVP at 32. And I was just like, it made me like, I didn't know that. That was like the most relevant stat I'd ever heard in my life at that point, right? It changed everything for me. And I think Jarrett is one of these guys where, he didn't play it all in New England. Yeah, he was sitting behind Brady, learning, watching. And I finally got a shot, got some horses in the huddle, and just balled out as much as you can versus the number one defense in the league in your debut. It was epic, and fired up to get into this and talk to a guy that we've known for a long time and care a lot about.
Welcome to episode 21. We have a very special guest today. We love him. Sometimes he can think he's funny and he's really not that funny, but we still love him no matter what.
You be the judge, though. You decide.
You guys can decide today. This is our boy, Jarrett Stidham of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome to the room.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm really happy that I finally made it into the room. You know, I like I said earlier, whenever we were talking, you know, I think battle of the backups earlier in the year with me and Kyle when we played Houston. Maybe I could have made it in the room then, but here we are, last week of this regular season. I made it in. I appreciate it.
It would have been a good episode, but I think this one might just be a little bit more interesting. Battle of the Backups. Maybe when I got like 25 viewers on that one, that would have been sweet.
Yeah.
It would have been like the Battle of the Bastards on Game of Thrones. Just battle.
Second to last episode. That was a good one.
Yeah. Probably a lot less people.
Tightening of the circle. It's gnarly.
You had a couple Battle of the Bastards moments this weekend. That's what we always used to call like when you make a tight throw from the pocket and you're just like, yeah, it used to be like a Battle of the Bastards throw.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that.
So we've all known each other a long time. So for those of you tuning in right now, I'll start. When did you guys meet? I know we threw together.
Actually, no. I do know this. I do know this. So this was, I would have been a senior in high school.
Ooh.
Kyle, I don't think you remember.
No,
this.
I remember.
Kyle was in college. Yeah, he was at the pool at his apartment complex in College Station. And my brother lived down there at the time. You know, he's going to school down there. And we're all, you know, smashing beers at the pool one day. And I look and I'm like, oh, I think that's Kyle Allen. And I remember talking to you very, very briefly. Yeah. You kind of acted like you were too cool for
sure.
me.
That makes complete sense.
I mean, at that point he was, but go ahead.
It does. Right. So that was actually the first time we
That's right. I didn't like right when you said that, it popped into my brain. And the only thing I could think of was how embarrassing I probably was to you. I was like, what the fuck is this 5-star kid at my pool right now? Get the fuck out of my pool. Who are you?
He was throwing the pigskin in the pool with the shirt off, you know, all that stuff.
Hey,
QB1 for the
No, go deeper. I got a huge arm.
You guys want to go to the sand pit?
Let me get a Lone Star.
Oh, that makes me cringe. God damn it. It's disgusting.
That's awesome.
Okay, so yeah, that was a bad memory. I did not need to relive that. How'd you guys meet?
Elite 11 regional junior year. And then he was on my team at the opening in Oregon at the Nike campus. And I just remember we were blue and orange, probably Alpha Pro. And
we were the Alpha Pro.
We had some stud receivers, right? Were you when we had Snoop's son and Juju? That was that year. So we had Juju, who we thought was going to play safety because I was unimpressed at wideout. And then Snoop's kid, Cordell or something like that, was a baller.
Yeah, he was a baller.
And I was like, this guy's going to be a superstar. Yeah, we had a couple guys that went on that team. I remember there was a couple freaks on that. Was Dalvin Cook our running back?
Ooh, I don't remember.
So we
had some good baller.
Yeah, though. So he was coaching. I was a coach on a 7-on-7 team. That's been a theme here. Bo Nix was on the show this year. I think one or two other guys that were on my team. And so we met then, and then came out a lot in college. Whether you're at Baylor and I remember one time I was working out Deshaun for the draft, and there was like we went back to Atlanta, went back to Houston or something like that, and
it was in Houston.
Yeah,
you were there
because it was the three of you guys through. So I worked out with Deshaun, and you guys jumped in. You were at A&M, I think, still, or maybe at Houston, and then I think you were at Auburn at that point, or maybe Baylor still. So, anyways, go way back. Our wives and Kyle's fiance are tight, and I'm sure Kennedy and Summer are on a text thread with Dottie somewhere. And you've spent a lot of time in Southern California as well, out here over the years. And so we go way back. This will be fun, and when it's fun like this, Kyle ends up getting involved on the script writing. So it's gonna take some turns today.
Oh my God. I had to get my fingers on this one. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, Jarrett, man. Crazy career so far. I think the more we talk to people on here, the more we realize and peel back the curtains that everyone's career is crazy. Like you see the perfect moments on Sunday, you see the successes and maybe the failures on Sundays, but that's why we like having people on here so you can pull it back. But let's start with this Sunday, right? What a fucking amazing moment for you this Sunday, man. First NFL start, your fourth year, almost at the end of your fourth year. You're playing the 49ers, who might have the best defense probably over the last 5 years, maybe since I played them in 2019 and I threw 3 picks and 200 yards. And then you go out there and you throw 365, 3 touchdowns. I remember it was right after we finished our game. So I came back home and I turned your game on immediately. We were watching the whole thing, me and my whole family here. You don't pull it out in overtime, unfortunately, but you put up, I think, 37, 34 points. You give your team a shot to win. Unfortunate that you got pushed, your tackle got pushed into you on your last throw when you had one-on-one with Devontae Adams when he literally made the crazy catch on the right sideline earlier in the game. After 4 years of just kind of pushing through a lot of adversity, what did it feel like after the game?
It was a lot. There was a lot bottled up into Sunday for me. I mean, quite honestly, I was more like just pissed off after the game, just because we really should have won the game. I mean, the first half, we either scored or they stopped us on the 1 yard line every drive. So, I mean, we could have put up 35 points in the first half. And so I was just more like pissed off, like, this is how we're going to lose. You know what I mean? I was just more pissed off about it. But it was funny. I was telling Kennedy after the fact that it was just like a lot of emotion into Sunday, because you guys know how it is. Like you just kind of, you work so hard for something in your life, whether it's football or not, and you don't really see the fruits of your labor until a certain point. And I remember when I was texting her right before I was about to go out to play for real, I started tearing up a little bit, and I was just like, all the shit I had dealt with, my rookie year, especially my second year, the COVID year, and then last year not playing at all with having surgery and stuff. It was just like a lot of bottled up emotion. I was just thankful to actually just have the opportunity. I didn't care if it was against the best defense in the league. I didn't care, if our playoff chances were super, super, super slim. Like, I didn't care about any of that. I just was super excited to go out there and actually play and, fulfill my dream of starting an NFL football game. That's what I was, super excited about. And then ultimately, just fell very, very short at the very end. So,
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
399 yards of offense. He had 40 on the ground too. 40 something. Unbelievable start.
Hey, your boy.
I didn't think you had it, bro. I'm gonna be honest. You definitely don't look like you had it.
I was out there.
That's for sure.
Creating time and space. I'll be honest with you, Jared Bear. So if somebody would have asked me 6 months ago, and I'm sure people have, like, you've been around Stidham since he was in high school. How good is he? My honest answer, be 100% honest here, I have no idea. 6 months ago, no idea. Because if you go through your career, right, you were great in high school. I mean, most guys are great in high school. So whatever. And then hot start at Baylor. I think you had an injury, and then the Art Briles thing goes down. So then you go, choose Auburn over Florida. You go there. Kind of like, I don't know. I'm watching you run that system, and then I'm like, shit, I don't know. And you go 4th round, and you go to a team that's smart and drafting people, and you go to New England. And I thought you were going to have a really hard time learning it. And what's crazy is fans don't realize is, when you went to, you may know these numbers. When you went to New England, it's you, Tom Brady, you call him Tommy because you're on a friend basis with him, and
we are,
and Hoyer. And what was the stat? It was like Brady's like 17th year in that system or something.
I mean, that was like Tom's 20th year in the system. And at the time when I first got there, Hoyer, that was it would have been his like 7th or 8th year in the system, I think. Because, he played at Cleveland and some other places. But, I mean, it might as well have me learning French or Chinese. I didn't know anything.
I mean, Kyle, I don't know if you know this, like the offense he ran at Auburn, it wasn't X, Y, Z, FH. It was numbers. 1 man, 3 man, 5 man, 7 man, 9 man. Like they were numbers, and they could only be in a certain spot, and so many things were mirrored. And so like none of it, even though that offense they've been prolific and they've scored points, like none of it carries over. Like letters, numbers, digits, none of it carried over. And then on top of that, it wasn't just an NFL playbook. It was in a room with a guy in his 20th year in the system and his 9th year in the system. And obviously they're not slowing down for him. So I was blown away. So again, my comment of like, I had no idea how good you were. It really, until this preseason, was really your first time to go and like, you're the guy, you got a nice little, they traded for you, you got some security. and you lit it up for 3 games. And I was like, me and Mike were like, shit, Jarrett can play, dude. I had no idea. I assumed. I know how well you can throw it, but I've seen you on the driving range. You know what I mean? Not on the course.
Right. Yeah.
Real quick, a question on that, Jordan. So like Jordan says, like, he has no clue if you're good. Like nobody really does. And that's like kind of including yourself, I guess, too. After not playing real football, like preseason, anyone can tell you preseason's different football. Now you ball on preseason, but it's different than the actual game. Is there ever like thoughts in your head and you're like, damn, like, I wonder if I got it. Like, I wonder if when I go out there on Sunday, if I got it.
I mean, I think if anybody in my position that had never played, I think they'd be lying to you if they said there wasn't some sort of thought that was like, shit, like, I don't even know. You know what I mean? And I think deep down, like I know, like I've always been very confident in the kind of player and person that I am. And, you know, Kennedy and I have always talked about like, okay, like whenever I get my chance, like I'm going to take full advantage of it, yada, yada. And, you know, going into Sunday, there was a little bit of like, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, I think I know how it's going to go, but I don't really know how it's going to go. Cause when bullets are flying, things are just completely different. And it's different. It's just different than preseason. Like Nick Bosa doesn't play in the preseason, you know, it is what it is. And so there's a little bit of that. Like, I'm not completely sure, but I did feel confident in myself. And quite honestly, I felt very confident because of the guys that I was playing with on offense. So that kind of went into it a little bit too. Like I've got the leading rusher behind me. I've got Superman on the outside. I've got Darren Waller, Foster Moreau at tight end, Hunter Renfro, you know, Mac Hollins. I've got guys that
you got dogs
with. And I've got guys up front too that can play. So it was just, that was a little bit of it too. Like, okay, like no matter what happens.
I thought Josh dialed it up too, man. I even to start the game,
you
know, the quick screen and then this, and then a naked high angle corner, like good high percentage comfort, but not all checkdowns and flat routes and bubbles. Like I thought you know, watching that game, like I think he put you in a position to really ease into it. And a lot of thoughtless concepts early, you know what I mean? Screen, high, you know, high, low, like those types of things. And then all of a sudden, then the offense opens up. Yeah.
And you guys know how it is. Like, at least this is how I feel about it. Like, especially early in the game, it's all about getting in a rhythm. If you can't get in a rhythm as a quarterback, like it might be a long freaking day. So I think that was part of the thing too. And I talked to my quarterback coach about it, you know, before the game and stuff, is just, okay, taking the first thing that's there, just moving the chains, one play after another, just not trying to overdo it and, you know, get too greedy. I did that later in the game. I got a little greedy at times, but at the beginning of the game, it's just all about getting in the rhythm.
Gotta have a little heat check late in the game. Well, we always do a segment called Teach Tape. So we're talking about plays right now. I want you to take us through one. So late in the game, your first start, third down, I think it was third down. You see man coverage here. Oh, it's first down. Look at that. The 49ers playing man on first down. What a sight. So you see this, right? Middle of the third quarter, back and forth game, your first start. And you decide to say, fuck it. Like, I'm throwing this signal out.
Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't really play a lot of man coverage against us. I think that's obviously from our personnel. But I saw that, I mean, they were giving us man on 1st and 10. And I was like, shoot. And I don't know if you guys know this. Darren Waller is a freak show. He's the biggest, most athletic, fastest guy I've ever been around.
Wow.
And I was like, nobody can run with this guy. So I just gave him a signal, slot fade, and it's hard to cover.
Is that concept? Is that chop? Is that what you're gonna have to change that signal anyways?
I know. Thanks. We're gonna blow it out of proportion here, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, chop concept. Yeah, I think too. It's hard. It's got to be difficult though, right? Because all of off season, Derek took the reps with those guys, right? And then all season, Derek, you know, the starter takes the reps with those guys. So, what type? I remember when I was the 2 in Cincinnati, we had T.O. outside and Chad outside, Ocho Cinco. And I was more worried about throwing it to them than I was about the defense that we were going to play if I went in, because I didn't throw to those guys very often. They were so different. They were so specific, and they were so picky about what they wanted. Yeah. T.O. was going to run a super high angle bang 8, didn't give a shit, right? And then Chad was going to be super friendly. And so I was just more worried about completing a pass than anything. and, as the anxiety builds over the week being the 2. What was that process like, getting some feel for those guys? And I mean, half the reps you probably got came in the game,
Yeah, I mean, it's tough at first because, like you said, like I'm throwing to the practice squad and like the 2s and 3s like all week, the entire season. There might be some like little routes on air and stuff that we throw, that I could throw to Devontae or Hunter or whoever, but the majority I wasn't doing that. So the big thing like this last week was trying to get some of that timing down. Like we switched up our schedule a little bit to where we were just running more plays, especially more pass plays.
Smart.
And we were just trying to get the timing down. And then, if there was like special teams going on, I would pull Devontae, Hunter, Darren, whoever, I'd bring them over to the other field and we'd work on specific routes, whether it was third down or red zone or whatever it was. So that was one of the things that, I had to do. And something like you're talking about how these guys are so specific, like Devontae's been playing with Aaron Rodgers for like the last, 9 years or whatever it is. And so, the little like back shoulder fade ball, he's very specific about. And so just trying to get the timing down, with him on that, because I mean, he's done it a million times with Aaron. And so there was some hiccups along the way last week, but for the most part, I mean, it felt pretty good once we got to Sunday.
It's a little intimidating trying to recreate Aaron Rodgers' back shoulder ball to Devontae Adams.
It's tough. It's tough.
You're kind of putting on a string a little bit. You're like, is that good, Devontae? Is that how you do it?
Well, one more time.
So whenever I watch the 49ers, though, like we were talking about them playing man on first down there, which is crazy, right? So 49ers, best defense in the league. Probably if you racked up the last 4 years, even when Saleh was there, they're probably the best defense in the league over that time. And all they do is run cover 3. They'll sprinkle in quarters on losses. Third down, they'll get a little crazy. They might shoot a nickel blitz on first down, but they're really, really basic and they're good, but it's coming, right?
Yeah.
So when you're going into a game like that, I guess you have your game plan, you have whatever, but what's your plan of attack? Like, what are you looking at on a defense like that?
Well, so whenever, it got announced last week or whatever that I was, that Josh told me I was going to start and everything, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, from a personnel standpoint, okay, I get it. Like they're the best defense in the league, statistically, whatever. But schematically, I was like, this is actually a good first week for me. You know what I mean? Because whenever you're in 21 personnel, they're either going to blitz and they're going to play cover 1 behind it, or they're going to play cover 3 or cover 6, 3 week. That's what we call it. So it was just like, that's it. And then on 11 personnel, it was like you're saying, quarters, a sprinkle of, quarter, half, you know what I mean? It wasn't a lot of craziness to it. And so, and that's what I was thinking when I was watching film last week. Those guys, they're just so good. They just line up and they're like, fuck you, we're better than you. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the mentality, which is obviously worked for a long time for them. So yeah, I was just trying to have a great understanding of what they were doing and when they would do it. And I felt like I had a good grasp of it when I was out there on the field on Sunday. And I kind of knew where I was going to go with the ball pretty much every play for the most part before the ball was snapped. And that's half the battle sometimes.
I agree.
Let's talk a little bit about Derek Carr. Full disclosure, Kyle and I are big fans. Have been. It's funny, especially like if I'm in, even before, but like before the Raiders went to Vegas, if I'm in Vegas or in LA or whatever, there's Raider fans everywhere, right? My brother played for the Raiders. So when Raider fans ever talk to me, everybody asks me the same question. Hey, hold on, shh. What do you think of Derek Carr? Right? Like everyone, all the Raider fans want to know because there's so much about it. And since 2014, he's been the starter of the team since his rookie year. I'm like, dude, this is a guy. And in my opinion, so he had this game, he was like on an MVP pace and he breaks his leg in Mexico. I don't remember what year it is, at the end of the year, and it cost him the MVP. He signs a big contract that offseason and he was balling. And then the next 2 years, everybody dumped on him. I did a radio show that year with Sirius XM and all the callers would come in. They'd argue with me on Derek Carr. And then I pull it up and I go, his stats are better this year than they were the year that you all thought he was good. And for some reason, he's just been this guy that there's, mixed opinions on. And I don't know. I watch tape. I watch football. I'm like, dude, this guy's really good player. And then the debacle with, he's got Gruden in there, and then AB blows up training camp. Like, how about that timing, right?
Yeah.
Right before the season starts, right? And then Gruden gets fired. And then, like, he's just dealt with more bullshit, I think, than any starter in the league. So with that being said, I can't be the only guy. Like, there's got to be guys in that locker room that feel that way too. How was navigating that this week? Because I doubt it was everybody's fired up that Derek's benched. No, I bet there's a lot of guys that were pissed. I bet there's guys that are like, that's my boy. I've been with that guy for 6 years or whatever. So there's a lot of, it's not what happened with the Jets, right? You know what I mean? And benching the starter and putting in the backup. It's a different, complicated. How was navigating that this week? Because I know that you're a big fan of his too, and that you care about him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I told you this back when I was here in the spring. Like, I love Derek, and he was very, very helpful to me, in the spring as I was to him with the offense and so forth. So we actually clicked early on, and just had a great relationship through the summer and then through training camp and then throughout this entire year. And, like you're saying, like I would say I guess he was the longest tenured Raider that we had on the team. And like him and Devontae, they're like best friends. I mean, they played college ball together. So, there was kind of like this elephant in the room, so to speak, last week. And I think everybody handled it the best they could and the only way they knew how, which, was kind of different for everybody. Like, it probably affected me a little bit different than Devontae, and Devontae different than that guy, and so on and so forth. But, I think at the end of the day, especially the veterans on the team, like they understand, like, at the end of the day, like, it's a business, and, sometimes there's just things that happen, and it is what it is. And there's really sometimes there is a rhyme and explanation for it, and sometimes there's not. It's not, we're not paid to make certain decisions. We're paid to play football. So I think a lot of guys just took that mentality of like, look, like, we actually have a lot to play for still. I mean, at that point last week, we were technically still in the playoff hunt. And so guys were like, well, I mean, if this is what we're going to do, like, we still got to play, and we're about to play a really fucking good team. So, it was kind of on Wednesday, I guess it was kind of like, okay. And then it kind of settled, and then we were rocking and rolling, and getting ready for the Niners.
Yeah. I mean, everything's just moved so quick. It's like, I've been on teams where the head coach gets fired, and everyone's just like, what the hell is going on? And it's 24 hours of like, that's bullshit, or, people are on different sides. Right. And then, Wednesday at 1 p.m. or 11:20 comes around, and you got to go do a walkthrough, right? Like, you move on. It's just like,
and then it's third down, and you're thinking about, load, bug, blitz, 11 peel. And then it's like red zone the next day. You just
keep going on cover.
You just got, you got to just keep going.
Was it 77? You had 77 down there, maybe like a 00 dog or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Talk dirty to me.
Question. All right.
Just guys doing ball.
Yeah, guys doing ball. We love this. Speaking of Spanish, but Josh McDaniels. So Josh McDaniels obviously been around the league forever, had a stint in Denver as a head coach, went back to New England. You get drafted there. And from every time I've talked to you, and I've talked to Jordan, and I've talked to other people about your situation there, it seemed like you and Josh were close, and Josh really believed a lot in you, and he respected you. Goes to the show, gets the head coaching job in Vegas, immediately trades for you to be there. What is your relationship like with Josh, and what do you think makes you click so well? And I've seen it on Sunday too. I think it was after you threw one of your touchdowns. You said, you're looking at him, you're going, I'm fucking him, dog. Like, what took you so
I mean, Josh and I, we have a great relationship. And I think the cool thing for me, at least, and maybe this kind of plays a little part into it, but, like, him and Tom were together for years and years and years. Won Super Bowls together, won tons and tons of AFC East titles together. You know what I mean? So I got to kind of see, like I was saying earlier, the 20th year in the system. And it wasn't all with Josh. Some of it was, with Weiss back in the day, and Billy O. But I got to see how they worked. Yeah. I got to see how they worked together, and kind of what the expectation was. Because obviously, like, at least for our generation, like Tom, Peyton, Drew, Aaron, like that's kind of the top of the top, you know? And so I got to see that on a daily basis, and I try to take as much from that as I could, and little things that, you know, Tom was doing that I wasn't doing, or things that, you know, I could just pick up on. And Brian Hoyer was very similar. You know, he'd been in the system a long time and picked up on things. So it's just like, you know, as a young player, you just try to mimic the guys that are in front of you, and especially the guys that are, you know, the guys won 7 Super Bowls at this point. So yeah, I think that was part of it. And so I think that was part of the reason coming to Vegas is just from a quarterback room perspective and from an organizational perspective. Like, I kind of just knew the expectation. I knew what every day was going to look like. I knew the schedule. I knew what was expected in walkthroughs. I knew what was expected in practice. I knew what we were going to do in practice. And so, you know, I think it just was maybe not a safety net or a safety blanket, but just having somebody there that, somebody that it knows what's going on and kind of the expectation, and can help, you know, facilitate that to, you know, other guys in the locker room.
It's underrated, man. I mean, this is my first time on a new staff this year, and just kind of like, you know, your first week coming in, like normally we have a full day on Tuesday, right? Like, I'm not used to that, right? We have Saturday morning completely off until Saturday. Like, you get so used to this routine, and you figure out how to work it, and you figure out how to make it work for you, and how to get the most out of it. And it's like an underrated thing. You know, you talk about Brady though in New England, right? I'm really interested. You're like one of the only guys I know that's played multiple years with Brady as the two. You know, I'm friends with Garrett Gilbert. I played with Garrett Gilbert. He was in and out of there. Taylor Heineke was there for like 3 weeks. But you were there with him for a good stint of time, and early in your career, an impressionable part of your career, your first couple of years in the league. Everyone always talks about like, oh man, what's Brady like? You know, like, what's he like? And everyone's like, man, his preparation's off the charts. Like, what a leader, blah, blah, blah. Like, we know that about him. What I'm really interested is there anything tangible on the field that you took from him? Is there anything like about his pre-snap thoughts that you took? Is there any like technique, any like any little thing that you took from him that you put in your game?
Ooh, great question, Kyle.
Thanks.
And I actually remember this, and that's really good. I'm proud of you. I actually took this my rookie year, and I've actually gotten away from it a little bit over the last couple of years. And I remember, I don't know if if you remember this, but the way he took his dropbacks, I don't even know what to call it, but like on a 5-step drop, he would take a 1, 2, 3, and then his 4, 5 were like synchronized. It wasn't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was like, I don't know if you remember us talking about that when I came out.
I remember, we had a clip of like a head-on video from like off season, and you and I watched over and over again for a while and breaking it down. Yeah, it was like 3 and then 2 shuffles. Yeah, it was different, and I had never done it, but that was the way he did it. And so I was like, well, this must be great. And so I tried to do it. And, you know, that was kind of what Josh expected me to do, because he literally just wanted me to just take in as much from Tom as possible. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, my rookie year, like, there was probably things he was doing on the field that I just went way over my head. But the thing that one of the things that I took away from him was, you know, we always talk about like having unsackables. So there's a, you know, section on the call sheet where it's drop back passes and this and that. And it's like, when these are called, like, you just got to hit a hand. And he was so good at that, because if you call it on 2nd and 10, like, you know, he's going to hit a hand and it's going to be either a first down or it's going to be 3rd short, you know. And there was just always a plan for him pre-snap on where he was going to go with the ball. And, you know, he wasn't always right all the time, but that was one of the things. It was so incredible to me. He was so good in the system, and he knew where he wanted to go to the ball with the ball almost every time before the ball was ever snapped.
That's so important too, because in this day and age of football, with guys in college, you know, not learning as much in the system, you're playing early, guys in the NFL having to play early. What I noticed is a lot of offenses have kind of gone to just straight up pure progression reads, right? Like, here's the formation. It's going to be trips right? You're going to start with this guy over here. If not, you're going to get back to here, to here, to here. And that looks great on paper, right? That guy's not open. Oh, let me take my hitch to the drag route over the ball. Okay, let me get to the basic. Oh, let me throw my burst. Right. Until you got the 3 technique just eating up your guard and in your fucking lap, you know? And you keep doing these peer progressions over and over again. And that's why it's so refreshing to hear you talk about like an unsackable play, right? 2nd and 10, give me something I can get the ball out of my hands and get it to a third manageable or a first down. Like that is just so important. And I think it's a lost art today's game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Last question. We're going to get into our game here. You know, people are picking up on this now. A lot of Raider fans are kind of YouTubing you and figuring out who you are and all that stuff right now. But anybody who meets you probably says the same thing. Like, boy, what a nice guy, handsome guy. And he's well-dressed and he's, looks in the eyes of a Texas guy. So he probably takes his hat off and shakes your hand and all that stuff. And so it's easy to think that a nice guy doesn't have a dog in him, doesn't have grit. We talked about it during the draft process, right? Owning your story and being able to, you don't want to be the nicest guy in the room when you're going through the evaluation process. Whatever you want to share, like for those people who don't know much about you, like, I mean, we know this answer, but I'd love for you to share what you're comfortable with. Like your childhood was gnarly, dude. Like a lot of adversity, a lot of grit was built early on. So the toughness and the grit that people aren't going to see in an interview, and they're not going to see, if they meet you or if they see you talk, like where does it come from, and where do you have that grit and that resiliency and that toughness and the dog really?
Yeah, I don't know. I won't get into everything, but I think a lot of it comes from where I grew up. And Stephenville, Texas, super, small town southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. And it was always like we were never the most athletic by any stretch of the imagination. We were just the country boys from bumfuck nowhere. And you know what I mean? Like there was teams that we beat in high school that we had no business beating, but we just worked harder than them. We were tougher than them. And when it came down to the fourth quarter, like we could just finish better than them. And that was instilled, like that's in Stephenville. Like Art Browell started this back in the early 90s. Like you start that kind of mantra about yourself, like in like 6th, 7th grade. And then it carries all the way into until you're a senior in high school. And so I think that's where a lot of it comes from. And, on top of that, there's, family stuff. I mean, everybody deals with family stuff, family drama growing up, but, moving out of my parents' house when I was a senior in high school and, working a job the majority of high school so I could pay for my gas and go grab a bite to eat with my buddies. It adds a layer of perspective onto your life that you just gotta work hard. And I feel like good things happen to people who work hard. It may take time, but that's just kind of how I was raised, I guess. And just to always try and outwork everybody. And that's what I've tried to carry, to now. And hopefully my kids will understand that one day and, understand that, you just got to work hard for the things that you want in life.
You said kids. You guys are pregnant? Oh my gosh. I can't believe you chose to announce it with us right now. This is such a big moment. Get Kennedy in here. Get Kennedy in here.
Not yet. I wish, but no, not yet.
Awesome. Kyle, you want to get us into the first game?
All right.
I like games.
Jared's good at games. He's not good at golf.
Games?
He's a big gamer.
Got any games on that phone? All right, so we got 2 games for you. We haven't done either of these games before. First game, we got P.F. Chang's Dream Dinner. All right, your boy Mark Davis, who you said you had a nice conversation with after the game. You guys are really close friends now. He is, rumor has it, I don't know if this is true or false, but he is an avid P.F. Chang's lunch eater.
Really?
Supposedly he goes 4 or 5 times a week to eat P.F. Chang's lunch. I don't have any sources.
Wow.
Producer Jake, maybe you can ask him next time you have your morning conversation with him. You said that's every day, right? You guys talk every morning.
I've had one real conversation with him.
Okay. So here's the premise of the game, right? So you're at P.F. Chang's. This is your dream dinner. We're going to do a snake draft on this. We're going to let you start it, okay? You get to pick 4 people, dead or alive, that you could eat this dinner at P.F. Chang's with. You get the lettuce wraps, the orange chicken, sesame, whatever you want. But you got 4 people, and we're going to start with you. I haven't even thought about this, Jordan.
I've only thought of like 1 or 2. Yeah. So this is a little freestyle here.
Ooh.
Oh man. I have my first one. I'm good.
I'm kind of thinking like, who's a quarterback? Who's a football person? Who's like
I'm not even thinking
and then
football.
2 other like non-football. Yeah.
Ricardo.
not even thinking football.
Like,
All right.
oh, jeez.
All right.
I'm gonna go with my favorite comedian, Will Ferrell.
Comedian though? Is
Ooh.
he or is he an actor?
Oh, he's going to make that dinner a blast.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. We're gonna have a great time. Get some cocktails in him. Oh yeah.
All right, that's a good start. I'll go next, Jordan. I have mine. Well, we're gonna stick with the same line of work. He's not a comedian. He's an actor. Jarrett, by the way.
He's
Mine
both.
is first one, Vince Vaughn.
Ooh.
The
This is a good dinner.
How's that any different than Will Ferrell?
he's better, first of all, better than Will Ferrell. Vince Vaughn is the best actor ever. First of all,
No range. No, I'm taking Will. No range. He plays Vince Vaughn in every movie, and he's great at it. He's the best Vince Vaughn on the planet.
it's like a Denzel Washington. Then we can just say the same thing. No range. Same person in every movie.
All right. You guys went comedians.
You gotta go two.
I gotta go two.
Snake draft.
I know this guy. We all know this guy. I want this dedicated time. Like Aaron is just so fascinating to me. I just want to pick his brain on what's going on right now, what he's thinking about, all that. So I'm taking Aaron. I don't watch other podcasts. I don't watch anything. I'm taking Rogan. I just fascinating because he was going to get taken anyway. So that's why I just took him.
The next pick.
Yeah, the next pick for sure. So I got him off the board. I thought about that because you guys aren't going to get my third one. So
I'm just making an executive decision. We're all at this table together, right?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So with Rogan, I'm going to add on his counterpart, Liver King. We need to have Liver King at this.
Wow.
I don't know that guy well enough because that's a weird pick for me.
Really spice it up. We're going to put Liver King in there. He just got outed that he's doing steroids after he said he wasn't doing steroids for the last 6 years. Liver King's number 2 for me.
Is he just going to be doing laps around, like carrying just massive amounts of orange chicken around PF Chang's?
Raw bull nuts too.
Raw bull nuts. All right, you can have Liver King. That was not getting picked. Jerry Bear, what do you got?
Yeah, that definitely was not on my radar list. All right, I'm going to throw one out there. Elon Musk.
That's a good one. That might have got called.
I think that would be fascinating.
Taking the world head on.
I want to know what in the world, what all he's up to.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody who, forget the Twitter thing for a second. Anybody who's like, no, we're going to be on Mars. Let me explain how this is going to work.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to let you continue. I like that one.
Liver King? Come on.
Liver King. All right. Yeah. We'll give you one more, Kyle.
Turn into snake draft. All right. Super random, but we actually met this dude at RX3 a couple years ago, Jordan, Mike Posner. Remember Mike Posner?
I still stay in contact with him. He's fascinating.
Fascinating, dude. Once superstar turned into kind of found himself walking across America.
Spiritual warrior. Then climbed to Everest.
Crazy.
All right, next. Snake draft.
Well, you messed up draft. It was Jarrett Stidham.
Oh, I'm taking anybody who authored the Constitution. Like now more than ever, you think like this freaking nuts, right? So England is taking over. Okay. And these dudes are just like blocking their town with a musket. You know what I mean? Like, and if they lose, like, so the English break through, like it's over. Right. And they basically, when they sign the Constitution, they sign their death warrant. Like these people are coming for us. You know what I mean? And so I'll take James Madison. I'll take Thomas Jefferson. I don't know a ton about these guys individually. John, any of these dudes who wrote this thing. Cause like for that, think about them. They thought about this stuff that a couple hundred years later checks out. Like what? Like there's no technology. There's no nothing. Obviously governments change and all that stuff. But like the like forethought, they just landed on this place. They took over some land. They sort of settled in here. They got like thousands and thousands of bad guys coming, no form of communication, people riding around on horses. And they had the balls to be like, this is how it's going to be. And then it turns out like 200 and some years later, it's like the same, it checks out. So I not celebrated enough and some just genius shit.
You just really had to go there pre-Constitution.
I just want somebody who like, we said dead or alive. And that was good. You know, everyone always picks Abraham Lincoln. And it's like, nah, I want somebody who's like early.
I'm not proud of my picks.
Can I throw another one in there?
Please.
Yeah, Liver King was a bad pick. That's all. There's no
it was
around it.
Panicked.
You actually need to shut your screen off the rest of the time. Me and Jordan.
You get no more orange chicken.
All right.
I've got one more. Robert O'Neill. It's the guy who shot Osama bin Laden.
Whoa.
I think that would be a fascinating, just to hear the entire operation and the woman in the CIA that did everything. Like, I think that would be fascinating to hear.
I like it.
Good picks. All right. We got one more game for you, Jarrett. And then we have QB to QB question, then 2 minute drill. Okay. You got enough time? You got to post a be real of you watching a film. So I don't want to keep you from that.
Film watching's done, buddy.
Nice. Last game we got is kind of an ode to your wife, Kennedy, but we're calling it Are We Smash and Subscribe? So rules of the game are we're going to give you some names around the NFL, and you're going to tell us if they had a daily vlog, if you were subscribing to it, and why or why not. All right?
And here's the deal. If you say, yes, I'll subscribe to that, that means like you're actually going to watch it. Like you, if I would subscribe to that, I'm subscribing and I'm actually going to watch that.
Okay.
I want you to say yes to everybody.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start off our boy, Josh Allen.
Absolutely. I'm watching that.
That's an easy one. I wanted to throw you an easy
All
one.
right. How about Kirk Cousins?
I'm not.
You want to know his most recent quote was, I come to work, I work, I go home, I play with my kids. That would be his vlog. All
That's
right.
great.
Yeah, I'm not subscribing to
Yeah,
that.
we're good on that one. Mac Jones.
Ooh. Because I know him, I'm going to say no.
It's facts. All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. That would be the most interesting vlog ever.
That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
What about Joey B?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd subscribe to him.
I think he might be in a maybe off season vlog, but in season he might be similar to Kirk Cousins category.
I don't know. I don't know Joe obviously as well as probably both of you. I don't know. I just feel like there's something beneath the surface there that would be fun to watch every day.
He's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Like, hold on. How can you say that, Kyle, when a guy shows up to a throwing workout with a shirt on and it's a cat riding a slice of pizza on the beach through the waves? Surfing. Like, how can you say no to that? That is cool.
Last time he came to work out with Jordan, he didn't want to get off of East Coast time, so he woke up at 4:30 every day and he went to bed at 7:45, and this was in July. All right.
Okay, that's fucked up.
All
That's
right,
weird.
couple more.
He's the homie. He's the homie.
Josh McDaniels, are we subscribing to his vlog?
Josh McDaniels.
I wonder what his vlog would look like.
Probably not subscribing.
No. All right.
Mainly because I know what he does every day.
Last one, we got your running back, Josh Jacobs.
I'd subscribe to it. There's no telling what's going on.
Interesting, dude.
Oh, very. And he's got. I think it'd be cool because it's daily vlog here. So he's got a really, really nice car. So he could have some really great car content.
There we go.
What's he drive?
I don't even know the name of it, but it's a Rolls like SUV, whatever those are called.
Pulling in. Wow.
It is nice.
Go ahead.
And it says I am 28 on his license plate.
He is number 8. That's correct.
He is him.
He is him. All right. We're going to let you go here. We got a QB to QB question. So we started this concept with Kirk. We had Kirk ask our next quarterback guest a game around the game of football. He didn't know who it was. Last week we had Max Duggan on, who ended up going and beating Michigan. Let's go, Max. Now he's in that.
Hey.
So his question to you, he didn't know you were coming on. His question to you was, what is your favorite red zone concept right now?
Ooh, throw it to number 17.
I'm not near. We're out to 17.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, that is a legit answer, but I'll give you an actual answer. Oh, what are we talking? Are we talking man? Are we talking zone?
Give me a nice little red 2 beater, some cover 4 in the red zone down there. It's the toughest thing to go against. You got 3rd and 6 from the 6-yard.
It is, bro. I like, I don't know how to explain it. So if you go, I like go formation indicator. Okay. So 3-by-1, tight end on the left. I'm not even talking about cover 4. I'm just talking general here, but having a couple different ways you could do it, but put number 1 on, the tight end on the backside. You put them on a fade. You could put them on like a pinch route or like a red route, which is like a corner stop. You guys probably use some of the terminology.
Similar.
And then number 3, have him on a speedo, so a cross coming like deep in the end zone. Then having number 2 and number 1 coming underneath. So you get a natural high-low
Yep.
with on that Mike linebacker. It's good against like Seattle 3 teams down in the red zone, cover 6, where you take that back hook special player out of there and you hit them underneath. There's just different things you can do with the tight end on the backside depending on who it is. That's a good overall concept, I feel like. And then and then on top of it, if you go the formation indicator and then you have, man coverage, then the world is your oyster. You can
do whatever you want.
You can do a lot. You can do some with 3-man side. You can do a pick. You can, you can chop. You can do something with the halfback. You can do a lot of things. So I think there's a lot of ball.
I like it. All right. So without knowing who our next guest is, which question do you want to pass on moving forward, whoever that is? And then we've had some be specific about football. And then we had one that was, would you rather have fingers for toes or toes for fingers? So
it was terrible. Don't do something like that, please.
Your best or your favorite play that you've ever made. There's got to be one. Play. Individual play you've ever made.
Was yours from this weekend when you shuffled into the sideline 19 times and then got smoked and threw a 60-yard touchdown?
That's up there.
Yeah. That was I was like, get it, throw it, it's a touchdown. No.
Yeah, that's
was your dig in the second quarter versus Arizona?
The first one
up there?
Yeah. The dig where they crossed out the backside. That was awesome. Yep. And you were in the bathroom throwing up from how many beers you drank on the way there?
I missed it. Me and DQ and Kearney drove out for that game. Me and Kearney went to the bathroom and everyone goes nuts, but pissed nuts because I was at Arizona. And I was like, something good happened. We run out there and DQ's like, you just missed it.
That's great.
Awesome. All right. Last thing here, low key, one of our favorite parts of this show is a 2-minute drill. So we're going to throw 2 minutes up. This is your journey, man. You've given this speech at some of my summit camps over the years, but pick it up wherever you want to pick it up from. I mean, you touched on childhood earlier, so pick it up there and it ends today, but the highs, the lows, the journey, most of the stuff we go through, fans don't know about. They just know little pieces of it. So we'll throw 2 minutes on here and we're going to hit mute, man. What is the Jarrett Stidham, AKA Jer Bear story?
Starting in high school, like I said earlier, Stevensville, Texas, small town, you work harder than everybody, that you play against, and was very fortunate to grow up in a situation like that. And, was really highly recruited coming out of high school, decided to go to Baylor, played for Coach Briles, played there my freshman year, played a little bit, broke my ankle, got healthy for the next spring. Next spring, Coach Briles gets fired for all the stuff that went on there. And so that summer I decided and I stayed in Waco my sophomore year of college, and I ran a scout team out of high school for that entire time. And it was great. Tanner Mordecai was a quarterback there, who's now, a really good passer in college football, and did that. And then went to Auburn, played two seasons there, had a bunch of just incredible time there. Loved every single second of it. Beat Bama, beat Georgia, did not beat LSU, sadly. And then got drafted, the 4th round in 19 by the Pats, and got to sit behind, in my opinion, the greatest player to ever play the game of football, especially at the quarterback position, behind Tom. And then second year was behind Cam Newton. I learned a lot, obviously, from him. That was during the whole COVID year. And then last year I had back surgery and didn't play a lick of football all year long. Got to practice the last couple of weeks, but yeah, had a baby this off season. Lennon, she's the best. And then Kennedy's been a rock star mom and moved to Vegas this year. And here we are, just rocking it out and, trying to play blackjack.
Trying to play blackjack. Great way to end it. You're not a prop guy, huh? You're a blackjack guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a blackjack guy.
Well, dude, a lot of more story to write, I think, for a lot of people who've been around you and have been friends with you for a while. This was an incredible Sunday. Like, you had a lot of people supporting you, and I think you knew that. And we were talking about it earlier, but when you get your opportunity and you haven't played in a long time, we were talking about how, maybe you don't got it. Like, you don't know, like, you stepped out there and you looked like you've been playing every game for the last 5 years. Like, you looked awesome. So I'm really,
I appreciate that.
Really proud of you, dude. I mean, when you got announced the starter, I looked at the schedule. It said 49ers Chiefs. I go, hey, Yikes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you're probably like, all right, bet who we got? Oh man, got the guys.
But hey, here's what I told Kennedy this last week whenever it happened. You know, there's two ways to look at it, especially like with how our season's gone and stuff. It's like, oh shit, we're playing the 49ers and the Chiefs. On the flip side, it's like, oh shit, we're playing the 49ers and the Chiefs. You know what I mean? And it's like, what a great opportunity for me, at least, I get my first two starts against teams that very well could both be in the Super Bowl playing against one another.
Probably will be.
You know, and so I've looked at it like, not that like the negative way. I've looked at it like, what a great opportunity. We have nothing to lose at this point. We got to lay it all out there and, see what we can shake on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. You get to play football for a living. You get to do it against the best people to play. So I think it couldn't be better.
It's great perspective, man.
Great perspective. And you got a chance to go into this offseason feeling real good. Real good. There's a lot of ways to go in the offseason, and I know the record isn't one of it, but yeah, man, that's exciting to be able to go into this thing on an off note, because if the fans are everyone's it's the playoffs coming up, and then the Super Bowl, and then the college football, and the reality is like there's also a group of men who've been grinding since March,
Yeah.
and they're about to get an off day or 100. Yeah. So man, so pumped for you, and love watching this thing unfold, man. It's crazy. You didn't even have a mullet when we first met, but here you are.
It's really grown in.
Full mull.
That Turkish hair transplant really did you well. It's really good.
So good. That was worth the trip, man. I'm telling you.
It was. It really was, guys.
Totally worth $7,000. That's awesome, man.
Thanks for I appreciate that.
As always, appreciate you. Miss you, bro. We'll see you in a couple weeks, even though you decided you're gonna live in Dallas now and not hang out with us in California. So congrats.
Couple things on that. It's where I want to raise my family. I don't think anybody can hate me for that. JP definitely can't hate me for that. I got 2.5 acres, so he's definitely not going to hate on it.
Nope.
Price of living's a little better. It's just better things in Texas. Everything's bigger and better in Texas.
Whatever makes you
except for Board and Brew.
Whatever makes
we don't have that.
Sleep good.
No turcados in Dallas.
There's zero turcados.
There's not.
You can always play the family children card. I can't say anything about that because
Jordan, do you think we're going to get invited to the wedding?
Kyle's wedding?
Yeah.
It's going to be small. It's going to be small.
It's going to be small. This is awkward. I don't know what to say.
Awkward on our episode for the wedding when Jordan didn't come. What am I going to say on the episode after?
I had family and
Kyle
kids.
didn't come to my wedding, so.
Well, I would be one of 750, so I didn't really feel special.
I flew my ass out to Houston. I was there.
JP was there.
I was there.
Anything else you want to make fun of me for before we leave? Make me feel bad about?
That'll do it. Your Liver King pick. Other than that, I think we're good.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Jake's going to cut that out. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Well, good luck this weekend. Appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man.
All right, everyone. That was Jarrett Stidham. I think Jarrett's funny dude, man.
Dude, he's classic.
He's just like
classic.
40 times, but he's funny. I forgot how funny he is. Hell of a dude. Smart player. Like you said, playing behind Tom for that many years in New England, getting to learn that system. You can tell how smart he is. You can tell he's got the moxie about him. And just hearing his perspective, like talk to him at the end there about what he was thinking going into his first two starts ever against probably top 3, top 4 teams in the league, and the 49ers and the Chiefs. That perspective on his opportunity and what was in front of him it's different, man. Not everyone's built like that.
No, it's awesome. And I mean, he touched on it a little bit, but like really the childhood, the adversity, growing up fast is how I'd say it. And then, the stability, he got married early. He was married before he got drafted, and, and now he's got a kid. And so I just think the combination of overcoming adversity at a young age, stability in your life, super smart. I always say the best thing you can be as a quarterback is really smart, great decision maker and decisive. And he's those two things, but he can flat spin it, man. He's always been able to. Something about those dudes from places like Stephenville, Texas. They just grew up throwing footballs all day long, and they can freaking spin it. And so, yeah, love the way this season's ending for him. And I think it's just classy the way that Derek went out after the year that was a tough year for everybody there. The relationship that he has with Josh, the relationship that Derek and Jarrett have, the way that Jarrett's able to move on. I just think it's cool, man. It's a cool ending, and I think Raiders fans are going to have a lot to be excited about heading into this offseason, with the potential of Jarrett being the guy, with a long list of free agents, with a draft coming up. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do here, but what they know they have is a guy, if they need him to play, they can go in and do it. And so what they do with the rest of the pieces will be very interesting. But knowing, one for Jarrett's side and then two for the Raiders, you got a guy in that room who can play.
It's a dog, man. We always say this about quarterbacks in the league, man. When you get your opportunities, they're going to come at some point. You got to be ready to take advantage of them, because finite opportunities, and it's awesome to see him taking advantage of his.
Hey, the other thing too is, like, it's not even just the fans. Like, I got probably 4 or 5 texts from marquee starting NFL quarterbacks current during that game or after that game. Hey, Jarrett. Hey, Stiddy balled out. Hey, your boy Jarrett. Like, didn't know he was watching. You know what I mean? Like, it was pretty cool. Like, unsolicited, just dudes thought to send something, and then it was marquee guys. And I was like, that's cool. Everybody, a lot of people take notice.
Everybody does. And people don't know this. When you're not playing games in the NFL, you're watching them. And so, especially primetime games, that's why people make such a big deal. I didn't understand it before I got to the NFL. You make such a big deal about primetime games, because not only is the world watching, the rest of the league is watching too. So proud of him. We always finish our show with what we're grateful for. Coming off the holiday season, Jordan, what are you grateful for today?
Yesterday, I started my season, so I'm inverse of you guys. The off season is my season. The season is my off season. Obviously, I work a lot during the season, but yeah, I had my first guy check in yesterday for draft training. So it's officially started. 2023 draft.
Oh.
Another guy gets in Saturday. Another guy gets in Sunday. Max Duggan, we'll see. He might have a parade in Fort Worth and be a week late. And so I'm grateful for an opportunity to get a handful of guys, build a really cool relationship with all of them as a group, all of them individually, make a big impact. I think I've always said the 3-month period in draft training represents the greatest opportunity to make major changes in your life, football, mechanics, nutrition, whatever. Because in high school, you played multiple sports and you had school, and your parents made all the decisions for you. And then in college, you had school and you have teammates, you had to host recruits. There's so much stuff you got to do. Once you're a vet, you got time, you got money, you got marketing, you got family. At some point, you got kids and stuff. So really, this is the only 3 months where you have no teammates, no distractions. Your boys aren't like, let's go to Vegas. Your parents aren't like, come home, we miss you. You're just locked in for 3 months. And so it creates space to be able to make major changes and to identify and take inventory of what I need to change. So I'm just grateful for the chance to hit the reset button. This is year 13 of draft training for me.
No way. 13?
Yeah.
What was the
13?
Bortles?
Blake Bortles, yeah.
That was 13 years ago? God,
yeah.
You're getting old.
So,
that's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah. At least I was like a current player when I did it. Like, I was still playing when I trained Bortles. It wasn't like a 5-year retiree guy. But yeah, I'm in my mid-30s. I'm in my mid-30s for another 4 or 5 years. But
yeah, okay.
How about you?
I'm grateful today. We already touched on it with Damar Hamlin, but today I'm grateful for my health. I think last night, we're recording this on Tuesday. Last night was just kind of a scary reminder of the dangerous nature of football and what's really possible out there. I think, listening to Ryan Clark talk last night and some of the former players and guys talking about, how we've kind of just become accustomed to people hitting the turf and getting concussions and getting carted off. And we're all just sitting there in the stands, is he going to be okay? Like, give us the thumbs up. And 99% of the time we get the thumbs up and we just take a sigh of relief and we move on with our lives and move on to the games. And I think we've become so accustomed to that. And, obviously with the new concussion stuff coming out and we don't know how that's going to affect people as they get older and things like that. But this game is it's brutal and it's dangerous. And, I've had snapped my leg in half and been carted off the field before. And I heard Aaron talking about it on McAfee's podcast today about how we've just become numb to the injuries and when something like this happens, you can't be numb to this, man. It's a really huge reminder of what's really at stake out there at times. And, we're praying for him and hoping for his family to have the strength to get through this and everything like that. And so for me personally, I'm really thankful for my health and hopefully continued health.
Yeah, man. So if you're watching this for your first time, or if it isn't, take a sec. Think about, just take some inventory. What are you grateful for? We love wrapping the show that way. As we mentioned in the open, like, subscribe, follow us, tell people about it, share something. You see something, share it with somebody. We're trying to grow this thing, see where we take it, but we think to the moon. And we got a big off season we're excited about. putting together here as Kyle heads back out west. We've got some really creative ideas that we're going to get together and talk more ball with more guys who throw the ball. This is The Room. Thank you so much.
See you next week.